What a week in crypto it has been. Who would have thought that we would crack the 50K level so soon in the cycle? It is amazing for Bitcoin. Ethereum's been flying as well. It was 2 weeks ago on this channel that I told you Ethereum would take off first, and that is what has happened. That's what led to our breakout. We've been holding our long trade on this channel now for nearly 2 weeks. But today is Thursday, and if you understand the method that we trade, it is the day that we start to expect a midweek reversal. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at the current price action and what the chances are of us actually getting that midweek reversal. Do we need to be closing our longs? Do we need to be looking for shorts? What exactly do we need to be doing from this point forward? So let's get into that. If you are new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Be sure to smash that like button nice and early. Hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and let's get into the alpha of this video. Okay, so let's take a look at what has happened over the last week so that we can understand where we kind of are in the model. I'm going to zoom out to take us right back to where we first got into this trade, down at about 42K. Following the weekend trap, we identified a W formation and we decided to hold on to this through the weekend, but of course move our stop loss up. And the method here that we trade kind of teaches you that every time price goes into consolidation, you move your stop loss up under the consolidation if you're wanting to hold on to it for a little bit longer to give it some room to retrace before taking off again. And again, that is providing you believe that this trend has more steam. So this was one area that we had previously moved to stop loss. This was another area, and this right here goes to show how perfectly placed that stop loss was, because price did break out of the high of the week and it came back to perfectly retest it. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit more detail, but because we had a well-positioned stop loss, that retracement there did not actually stop us out of this really good trade. And then price took off again. Once it took off, the stop loss could then go under there. We've got new consolidation here, moving again. Literally, if you're in the TTC community, all we've really been doing all week is just continuing to move our stop loss up higher and higher, because there hasn't really been a reason to get out of the trade. Now, we did take this as a short. I will talk about that because I also told you guys on this channel that it wouldn't be a good short, and I'm going to show you kind of two ways to play that, where it would be good and wouldn't be a good short position. And now finally we have even more consolidation. The stop loss could go up even further. All in all, where the price is currently, that makes our initial trade from this channel that we got into at the beginning of last week now a 31-to-1 risk to reward trade. That is a 30% account growth if you only risked 1% on this trade. Now let's talk about what has happened this week. Zooming into the weekend price action from the end of the dots here to the dead gap zone shaded area here, we can see that last weekend price did actually run a trend. And because of that, I told you guys on this channel, I believe that the reason we were moving on a weekend was because retail was trying to front run the halving, because there's now only really 2 months to go. So retail are believing just buy all you can. And the fact that we were moving on a weekend, it kind of made sense that retail would be trying to front run the big institutions buying that don't typically buy on a weekend. So because of that, that told us that the sentiment in the market is very, very bullish. I had also mentioned on the Sunday update to expect a spike to the upside as the false move week beginning, because there was a liquidation level up here. Now, it actually was a little bit higher than where we did spike. I can't remember the exact number now, but it was a little bit higher. And then we moved away. Again, following that update, I told you because we spiked up and didn't take it out, that made me suspicious, and it made me believe that we were not going to run a trend to the downside at the beginning of the week. Beautifully held the 200 EMA, and that's where price then decided to take off again. And on that second attempt was where it ended up taking out all of that liquidity that was waiting in that higher level. Now, when we got up here, you'll see my notes on here. There was a new liquidation level that was around here somewhere, and price spiked into it twice over 2 different sessions and then followed a lower high. This was a signal for a short-term day trade short, and I did show this on my Twitter here where I said it's a quick little UK-US session, day trade caught in TTC. We can can see here that a number of members caught it. You can see the entry. The target was back down at the high of the week, and that was the trade there that played out on BingX. So shout out to BingX if you're looking for an exchange to trade on. The links for BingX and other exchanges are down below. Be sure to check them out. Now, why did I take that trade? Because I had covered on a previous update that if price started to break down from here, it wouldn't be a very good short. And in the end, you saw me actually take the short. So let me explain why. There are two ways that we trade this method. There is one that is called the weekly setup and one that's called the daily setup. The weekly setup is essentially the 3-day swing. It's the method that I talk about all the time on this channel, where I tell you about the false move week beginning into a 3-day trend one way, a 3-day trend the other way, the trap on Friday, be out by the weekend. That is the weekly setup in a very, very brief nutshell. But in addition to that, there is a whole other part of this method called the daily setup. And that involves somewhere between, I don't know, it could be 10 to 20 different trade setups that allow you to pick little day trades as like little scalps that you can catch for little compounding profits along the way, which is what I said in this tweet. Not a huge trade, but a fairly fast and easy one. Small wins like this compounded a few times a week can really grow a trading account fast. So the method that we're actually trying to do here is we're trying to catch the 3-day swing at the start of the week. That's always our goal. And we also try to catch the midweek reversal if it's going to happen, usually around Thursday. But once we have those two trades, all the other days in between are free for us. And that's where we can move to the daily setup. And the daily setup allows us to take those smaller trades. They're good skill practice. They're good, like I said, compounding smaller gains. It just helps you to accumulate more USDT to grow your account over time and all those sorts of things. So this trade here, whilst it would have been a terrible trade for the weekly setup because the target was the high of the week and there was no guarantee that we would get a further 3 drops from there, as a trade in the daily setup, it was textbook and it was perfect because we have our 3 hits to the same level without breaking the level. And then we ended up breaking through the 50 EMA and we retested it. And then we came back down and we held the high of the week. So that is an example of a perfect day trade. Most of those trades are not covered on this channel because they're too complicated. So if you are wanting to learn the method in full, it really is best to come and join us inside the TTC Discord, where you get access to all of our courses and you can learn this whole method in full. If you're interested, check out the links in the description of this video for more details. But I hope that clears up why on the channel I said this would not be a good trade. But for people who know the full system and understand that there is a weekly setup and a daily setup, this was a great daily setup trade. Once we bounce off the high of the week, that then essentially for the people trading the weekly setup, the higher one, that was the perfect break of the high of the week and retest of the high of the week. This is a continuation signal right here. Not to mention, if you didn't take it off there, then the break next of the 50 EMA, which is the blue EMA, and consolidating at the 50 EMA was just another reason to long. So many signals here that during the week just showed us really how bullish we are. But now what? Like where we are currently, what does it actually mean? Yesterday we had, for the first time, some fairly high short orders that were waiting at 52K. And if I bring this across, you can see that initially we did wick into the 52K and we rejected there, but we rejected only back to the 50 EMA. It held that as support, and then eventually we ended up breaking through those. Whether or not those sell orders were still here at the time, I'm not sure because I wasn't awake, and it is something that you have to watch live. But those 52K orders, they got broken through, and this is where we're sitting currently. We do have now new short orders that are waiting up at 53.4 to 53.5. I'll show you that on the heat map. So you can see that, oh, these ones have just come in. So you can see here the 53.4, 53.5, and then there's these other ones up here now at 53.8. So I would be keeping an eye on that entire area. Are we going to go up there? Well, that's where we have to turn to price action to make a decision. Now, let's look at what is going on currently, because I've marked some liquidation levels that are above price. So if price does break out of our initial high of the day, which is currently at about 52,500, if price does break up above that, it's going to take out these two liquidation levels on the way to where those short orders are sitting currently. But this is what we have to watch for now. So Asia has consolidated in a 1.8% range. So that is Asia's typical behavior. It's done its job. All good. It set the initial high of the day. It has set the initial low of the day. And UK, since the UK opened, which was on this candle, it is currently looking like it's running a trend to the upside. At the time of filming this, we still have just a little bit under 3 hours of the UK session to go. So what we want to see is either UK or US session break that initial high of the day if we're going to continue up into some of these sell orders. And depending on the speed in which that happens, we may not get the midweek reversal today, because if it runs a slow trend up, it might take the 2 sessions just to get there. And if we don't get our midweek reversal today, then I would say be very, very careful of the weekend trap tomorrow, because we may get a spike down tomorrow as part of the trap to just clear out some liquidity and trap new traders into the weekend. So I'm not 100% banking on a midweek reversal this week. Of course, like I said, that is dependent on breaking the initial high of the day. If we cannot break the initial high of the day, that will be the only point that I start looking for reversals today. So I would be looking essentially for a multi-session M formation. This could be the first peak forming in UK and then a second peak to form in US. That might tell me that, okay, we are getting our midweek reversal. Now, we do have a news event that could add to that as well. We have a lot of news events coming up in a couple of hours, which will be towards the end of the UK session, and that could end up forming one side of that M formation. And so if we don't get reversals around these news events, then again, I think we're going to be okay until tomorrow, and we may head up to that 53.5K region. So this is what to look out for. If we can get through these news events and not print a reversal signal, then it could be a case of moving stop losses up one more time and having a good night's sleep. And then we come back tomorrow and somewhere in the UK session, could even be US. Actually, it could even be Asia, because I believe China has a bank holiday tomorrow. Let me see if I'm right about that. I am. So if there's low volume, we could see some manipulated moves as a result of there being a bank holiday tomorrow in Asia as well. So yeah, moral of the story is, if it doesn't look like we're getting our reversal signal around these news events today, be very, very careful in any of the sessions tomorrow that we may get it there as part of the weekend trap. I personally believe if it happens, it will be short-lived. So I don't think it's going to be a full-blown trend reversal and we need to come back for a correction. We have to see how the weekend goes, because the weekend will show us retail sentiment. If we do pull back on Friday and they're happy to buy throughout the whole weekend, then we will have a very fast recovery. Now, taking a very quick look at Ethereum, I had pointed out this liquidation kind of cluster at 27.36 to 27.72. This is where we consolidated for a while. Now, when we reach a big cluster of liquidations like that, and we hang around in the area for a while, that's actually a sign that we're probably going to break through it rather than break down from it. Because if we're going to break down, we will spike into it and reject fast. So the fact that we didn't reject fast, that was the hint that we're probably going to break through all of this, take out the liquidity and continue up higher. And that's what has ended up happening. Now with Ethereum, we potentially have a trapping volume formation. It is definitely way too early to call this, but I'm going to explain it to you. And why I say that is because we have a vector at the top of the peak formation high currently. And at this point in time, price has not returned there. So if price cannot break up into this trap trader zone, which is sitting between 2,800 and 2,830, then they are keeping these traders trapped for a reason. And we will eventually see a reversal. With a trapping volume formation, you're probably going to see 3 attempts at the same level. So at this point in time, we really only have 2. We may come down, create another equal low or something like that. And if we make a 3rd attempt, that's where I'd feel better about saying this is a trapping volume formation. Right now, I'm saying it has the potential to be one, but it's not actually one yet because we don't have enough confirmations. So I would just keep an eye out on that. Now, if in UK, so at around 8 a.m. New York time, we expect an extension. If that extension takes us to the upside into the zone, and especially towards the upside of the zone, we would expect continuation, and the trapping volume formation idea is obsolete. But if we remain clear of it, if the extension takes us to the downside to retest the low or something like that, we may be in for that actual formation. And again, I would be looking then in US for potential reversals. If my thoughts happen to change on any of this, I will do my best to update you guys on Twitter. Also, my TikTok is back in action. That's where I can do my short 1-minute updates. I have seen your guys comment that you like those 1-minute updates in between these full YouTube videos. So be sure to follow me on my other social media. All of the links are in the description down below. So those are to my official channels. And if you follow those, you know you've got the right one. If anyone ever DMs you and says that it's me and I invest on your behalf and whatnot, it's not me. Just know that it's not me. Do not ever give your money to anyone. I teach you how to trade for yourself. I do not invest for you, and I don't make those promises. So if you learned something new on this video, be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, have an amazing weekend, protect your trades, and I'll see you guys on the next one.